The world just witnessed one of the greatest sprinting races in history, and it's all thanks to Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone. By now, you've already heard. 47.78 in the women's 400 meter dash. Nobody has broken 48 seconds in that event for a very long time. As far as I know, it hasn't really happened in my lifetime, and we got it twice, because she didn't just go out there and run that time. Marileidy Paulino, the Olympic gold medalist from 2024, went with her, and Salwa Naser even made it look interesting. But once again, that is the end of a very interesting story, so I'll go all the way back to the beginning. This is a day where Kevin Chippy on the men's 400, shout out to him. He won the gold in that event. Dream Richards got silver. Bayapo Ndori of Botswana came back with bronze. So we've already seen, gold medals go out in the 400. The semifinals for the 200 went on the men's side and the women's side. Once again, I'm going to share my thoughts on those in separate videos. But Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone was clearly the story. Not even that, she was the main event. Because after going out and running 48.29 seconds, an American record, the fastest semifinal we'd ever seen in the 400 at the World Championships, she made it look easy. As far as, how she, finished off the race. She was surprised at the time was that fast. We were in a place where people knew that we were about to witness greatness. And although I'm trying to cover all these events, to understand what it feels like for me is while I'm still, gathering my thoughts on the 200 and trying to, push out, content about, to discuss those races. I can see that her race is about to go. Like, the TV's on, and I can see it. And with that in mind, it's like, whatever you're doing, you had better stop right now. So I stop. And I see everybody in the lanes, and Paulino's all the way out in lane 9. And I'm like, this is going to be interesting, because Sydney's going to have to run her down. And we know what Naser's plan is. She's going to go hard or go home. The gun goes off. And before we get out of the first turn, Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone is running up on Amber Anning. Amber Anning is a world indoor champion, NCAA champion. I've watched that woman be dominant. But next to Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone, I'm just being real. She looked very pedestrian. At which point I said, oh, Sydney's going for it. And I knew she would. But I didn't know it was going to look like that. Because the race was a race. All the way through 250 to 300. You kind of get a sense that Sydney is going to emerge from the turn in front. But at least at the 200 to 250 mark, it looked a little spotty. Because remember, Naser's going for it, and Paulino's all the way out. And she knows that she has to do something she's never done before to win this race. Because Sydney already told them that with the warning shot in the semifinal. So when they finally get to the home straight, and Sydney comes right out of the turn, a little bit ahead. When I say a little bit, I mean a fair amount. I see that Naser is behind. I'm like, well, that's over. Because she ain't never, as far as I know, in a championship race with anybody close to that talent, go and get him. So I was like, all right, she's running for, the back part of the podium at this point. The only question is Paulino reel her in. And the script of this race went exactly how I thought it would. The difference was I thought Naser would have been closer. Because Sydney has to run to the line. And at this point, it feels like we're trying to pull the finish line closer to her. Because depending on who you're rooting for, in case you couldn't tell, I'm on Team Sydney, I'm expecting her to win. But I also know that Paulino can get her. In theory. So Paulino is, chopping away. Chipping away at that lead. But when they get to the line, it's still pretty clear. Sydney wins. So when you get 47.78 and 47.9 high, with 48.1 behind them, and nobody in the race, nobody else in the world breaks 49. Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone didn't just, do something we've never seen before, in the last, decades. Because technically it's not the world record. The world record in the 400, it's now close to her. It's now within reach. But it's right there. We're talking within, not even a half second away anymore. More importantly, she just blew up another event. Because up until now, you could be a women's 400 meter runner and have very real expectations of winning medals on the world stage and doing it without really even having to run much faster than 49. Just being real. That was a thought you could have. And if you were in the 49s, you were fast. You were competitive. But if you're new here, I want to say thank you for even making it this far into the video. And I'm Coach Rob, and if you really want to know what's going on with the fastest athletes in the world, then you are in the right place. And if anything that I say actually connects with you, it is always greatly appreciated if you would please like and subscribe. But if I don't, just let me know in the comment section, because I try to read them all. The way that Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone just blew up the event, the same thing she did in the 400 hurdles. I mean, granted, she doesn't have the world record yet, because the announcers already skipped down that part of the story. Maybe she'll break the world record, and that should be her next goal. People are trying to sign Sydney up for other stuff to do, because the moment that she wins, like when she conquers an event, because that's really what's happening. I said before we even got to this championship that Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone going out there to run the 400 is basically the same thing as Tony Hawk going out there to do the first Indy 900 on a skateboard. Nobody had ever landed the trick before. And as far as Sydney is concerned, nobody had ever landed 47 in the 4 before. She wasn't racing the women in the other lanes, she was only racing herself. And because we hadn't seen it, people doubted, could it be done? She always knew she wouldn't have started doing it if she didn't believe she could land the trick. And now she did. And now that we know it's possible, everybody else in the world is going to be dared to figure out how to land it as well. The 400 hurdles, we didn't think 50 point was ever going to come. And then it did. At which point, we really got to get used to people running 52s and 53s in the 400 hurdles. And doing that to be competitive after having watched 50 point. I could keep going about this race, but that's not where I'm going to finish my thoughts, because there's a whole nother discussion. What does it all mean for Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone and the future of track and field? For those people who, kind of dispute this, let's just go over the notes on Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone's GOAT debate up until this point. Let's just go over it. Because when we say the greatest of all time in track and field, specifically on the women's side, I'm not even going to get into men versus women. Let's just discuss, what we're actually thinking about in terms of what her case has been. She showed up to the Olympics at 16. By the time she came back, she's winning medals. She's won world championships, 2 Olympics now in a row. Basically anytime she touched the 400 hurdles from, that point till now, it's going to be hers. She's broken her own world record 6 times. She's now become the first woman to win the 400 hurdles in 2 Olympics. She's now become the first woman to win the 400 hurdles and the open 400. What more do you want? To me, Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone could walk off the track right now and call it a career, and we would just have to say thank you. She can keep going, but the thing is, she has to keep making up new stuff to go after. Because once you do it, what's she going to do next year? She's going to run the 400 again? Just because? She already did it. We already know what that looks like, because from this moment on, Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone will no longer be able to win a 400-meter dash race. At least not with the women who actually run right now. She can only fail to win, which is the same problem that happened to her in the 400 hurdles. She got so good that the race was no longer a race. We know that she could run the 200. So yes, you can go chase the world record. You can go run after a ghost, and she might get it. But whether she does or she does not, to me, isn't all that relevant. Because when you get that close on the leaderboard, and the ghost you're chasing is from 40 years ago, I'm going to give you a pass on that. If it was just up to me and we were throwing stuff at the board just to see what was going to stick, fine then. I say go run the 200. Why not? Because if you can beat the Olympic gold medalist in the same season when she wins the Olympic gold medal, along with a whole bunch of other fast women, we know you could run the 200 if you want to. If Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone signed up for the 200 at this World Championships and trained for it, willing to bet she would be in the final with a shot at getting a spot on the podium, especially with the times I saw those women running. Because coming out of the semifinals, 22:09 won a semifinal heat. And Sydney's already gone faster than that in the month of May. Maybe not this year, but certainly did it last year. This is the world we're living in. And in the track and field space, it's Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone's world. Everybody who steps onto the track with her already knows it. And now, the rest of the world has figured that out. We don't know how this movie's going to end. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't see a sequel that's ever going to be better than this. We had better enjoy every little bit of Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone that we have up until this moment. Because you have to know why Michael Jordan retired the first time. He was bored. There was nothing left for him to go out there and compete for, because he'd already won everything that there is to win. Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone is basically at that point. She's already won everything that there is to win. Yes, she can keep picking other stuff to go after. She could, in theory. But in terms of a realistic expectation that any track and field athlete could ever have for their career, she's already done it. There will be no more achievements that can, really add to the sense of fulfillment. I mean, it's just more stuff. She could win an Olympic gold or in the 400. Like, it's more stuff. She could win, a world championship gold in the 200, but it's more stuff. She could even go into the 100 hurdles, which is a little bit more far-fetched, but we know that she could mix it up because we saw her do it earlier this year. If she made a world championship final in the 100 hurdles, would that mean that much more? I mean, I guess, because you can. But for now, we're just going to have to enjoy the Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone experience, because the track and field world will likely never see anything like this ever again. The sport of track and field is not just about running fast. It is about doing it over and over and over again, because whenever you step to the line, your reputation is on the line as well. With the Wake Up, Run Fast, and Repeat shirt, you can make it clear that running faster than the competition is a habit. Get yours at searecruiting.com/shop or use the link in the description below. It's a huge support to me and this channel, so I can continue to make you more content like this. And remember, it is always greatly appreciated if you would please like and subscribe.